How to read anyone's soul in 3 fatal questions. The interrogator's technique. What if you could read someone's soul in minutes? Picture this. You're sitting across from someone, and with just 3 carefully chosen questions, you peel away their mask and see the raw truth beneath. This isn't cheap parlor tricks or cold reading gimmicks. This is darker, sharper, and far more dangerous, a psychological weapon that has echoed through interrogation rooms, war chambers, and secret societies alike. Now, think about the last time you trusted someone, only to find out too late that they were hiding something. The reality is simple. Everyone wears masks. But with the right question, those masks slip. And when they do, the soul is exposed. The first strike is deceptively innocent. When was the last time you felt wrong? It sounds casual, almost like small talk, but the response reveals hidden wounds and, more importantly, how that person reacts to pain, injustice, and power. The one who reveals their hurt also reveals where they are weakest. History offers us countless interrogators who didn't need whips or threats. They simply asked questions calmly and watched. The eyes, the silence before speaking, the crack in the voice, all of it is a map. And once you hold the map of someone's mind, you hold their fate. Here's where the 48 laws of power comes in. Discover your enemy's weakness. Every human being has a crack in their armor. That first question is the scalpel that slices it open. But beware, there's a shadow to this knowledge. When you learn to expose weakness, you carry the burden of power. And power isn't a toy. It's a sweet poison that intoxicates, corrupts, and consumes anyone who thinks they can hold it without consequence. There's also a conspiratorial undertone here. Intelligence agencies and underground networks have long known that the greatest secrets aren't stolen. They're offered voluntarily, carelessly, hidden in the pauses of ordinary speech. Practical action. In your next conversation, ask someone about a time they felt wrong. Don't interrupt. Let the silence do the work. The answers will spill out, and the truth will echo louder than words. If this dive into the hidden machinery of the mind intrigues you, prove it now. Hit the like button and write the word soul in the comments. Let me see who dares to look beyond the mask. How can 3 simple questions reveal hidden truths? Some people talk too much when they think they're safe. That's when the second fatal question strikes. What do you admire most in another person? It sounds flattering, harmless, even friendly. But it's a psychological trap. Because when someone tells you what they admire in others, they're actually confessing what they lack in themselves. It's an inverted mirror of the soul. In old interrogation rooms, this question was never about collecting facts. It was about dissecting essence. What drives this person in the silence of their nights? What longing do they secretly carry? Without realizing it, people expose their deepest desires simply because they thought they were engaging in casual conversation. Here lies another thread of the 48 laws of power. Win hearts and minds. But winning hearts isn't an act of kindness, it's an act of domination. When you understand what someone values above all else, you uncover the price of their loyalty. And whoever knows the price of loyalty holds the leash. Now, think conspiratorially for a moment. Shadow networks, hidden orders, and secret operatives have always understood this. Controlling someone is not about chains, but about desire. When you know what a person admires, envies, or craves, you can control them without them even noticing. Imagine a man who praises courage but trembles at every decision, or someone who admires discipline but can't get out of bed without delay. That gap between admiration and reality is the X-ray of their psyche, and you don't have to pressure them, they hand you the evidence themselves. There's even a darkly comic element in this. People reveal their weaknesses while thinking they're showcasing virtues. It's like a puppet boasting about the strings it doesn't realize control it. Practical action. Ask someone this exact question. Then listen closely. Not just to the words, but to the silences that hover between them. In those pauses lies the truth they don't want to admit. If you've followed this far, you're already peering into places most people fear to look. Prove it. Type the word secret in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe so you won't miss the next descent into the darker corners of the human mind. Why does the third question break even the strongest masks? The first 2 questions open cracks. The third one cuts deep. It dismantles even the toughest defenses because it forces the soul to reveal its shadow. The final question is this: what do you regret the most? At first glance, it sounds simple, but regret is a confession of lost control, a scar that still bleeds. Watch what happens when you ask it. Some people stall, eyes drifting away. Others laugh nervously, tossing out canned responses. But even in their deflections, the body betrays the truth: a longer pause, shallow breathing, eyes darting. The soul is whispering through every movement. Throughout history, there were rulers and strategists who never raised a blade. They didn't need to. They asked questions like this. By uncovering regrets, they discovered invisible prisons. And whoever knows the prison owns the prisoner. Here's the tie to the 48 laws of power. Discover other people's intentions. Regret is the residue of failed intentions. When someone admits their deepest regret, they're handing over a map of their defeats. That map is priceless, because it shows not only where they've fallen, but where they'll likely fall again. And here's where the conspiratorial undertone resurfaces. Institutions, intelligence agencies, even corporations know this principle. Personality tests, interviews, evaluations, they all probe regret. Why? Because regret exposes vulnerabilities better than any dossier. It shows the weight someone carries in silence. The dark humor of it all is this: you don't need chains to break someone. Words are enough. Regret is an invisible shackle that binds tighter than steel, and when you touch it, people trip over their own ghosts. This question doesn't just reveal, it transforms. Many realize, for the first time, the burden they've been dragging. In that moment, the interrogator becomes a mirror, a cruel, merciless mirror that forces them to face what they'd rather bury: the beauty of this darkness. No one escapes. Everyone has regrets, and everyone, under the right question, stumbles into their own shadow. Practical action: use this question in a meaningful conversation. Don't demand details. Just watch the discomfort. That discomfort is the map to the soul. If you feel the weight of these techniques sinking in, show you've been watching closely. Write the word shadow in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. What if true power isn't in the answers, but in the one asking the questions? After piercing through the layers of injustice, admiration, and regret, the ultimate revelation emerges. The real power never belonged to the one answering. It belongs to the one asking. The interrogator doesn't need threats or violence. Power flows through silence, timing, and the calculated weight of each question. He is the conductor of a symphony, and the other person is merely an instrument playing its part. And here's the twisted irony: most people spend their lives desperate to be heard, but the ones who rule are the ones who listen. Not listening for empathy, but for leverage. Every word spoken is a confession. Every pause is a surrender. Every shift in the eyes is a truth too heavy to hide. Master this, and the world looks different. At work, you'll see who is driven by fear. In relationships, you'll detect who survives on validation. In everyday life, you'll know who truly commands and who is only pretending. Another thread of the 48 laws of power ties it all together: get others to reveal their intentions. The interrogator doesn't extract truth through force. He lets the truth spill naturally, like water finding cracks in stone. Those who speak believe they're in control. They don't realize the web has already closed around them. Conspiratorial minds have always known this. Intelligence agencies, secret societies, and shadow governments don't dominate with weapons alone. They dominate with information. They control not by shouting, but by listening. The loudest man in the room may look powerful, but the silent one, asking the right questions, owns him. And of course, there's a touch of dark comedy here. Imagine the mighty king, confident in his throne, stumbling over his own words when asked a simple question. His crown slips not by force, but by his own confession. That's the cruel humor of power. It collapses under its own weight. Here's the unsettling truth: you don't need to be an interrogator in a cold room to use this. These questions work anywhere: a meet, on a date, even a casual conversation. Because every human soul carries cracks, and cracks are where the truth seeps out. Practical action: practice listening as a weapon. Ask questions that make people pause. Pay attention to what isn't said. Collect these pieces like fragments of a puzzle. Soon, you'll stop being manipulated and start being the one pulling the strings. If you've followed this descent into the hidden machinery of power, prove it by writing the word power in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to learn how to see beyond the surface. Because in the end, those who ask the right questions rule the answers.